Scuola Oltre presenta i nuovi corsi di formazione webinar.
Benvenuti a tutti, grazie per essere qua con noi. Oggi è il primo incontro gratuito del corso Brilliant Ideas for Primary English Teachers con Romina e Jenna della British School Matera. Oggi entreremo nella didattica anglosassone per insegnare ai bambini l'inglese, quindi attenzione perché tra qualche minuto sentirete parlare solo inglese. Siete in modalità webinar di Zoom, quindi non vi trovate attivato l'audio né il video. Potrete intervenire con domande e interventi sulla chat, quindi Romina sarà a vostra disposizione per leggere i vostri interventi e riportarli alla formatrice. Per chi è su Facebook scrivete pure nei commenti e cercheremo di riportare anche le vostre richieste. Il corso, mi raccomando, oggi è il primo di 5 incontri. Vi metterò sia nella chat di Zoom che nei commenti di Facebook tutti i link su dove potrete trovare le informazioni per il corso completo. Detto questo, lascio la parola a Romina per presentare quest'ora insieme e auguro a tutti un buon corso.
Buon pomeriggio a tutti, benvenuti. Anzi, good afternoon, così iniziamo subito. Io sono Romina della British School Matera e grazie a questa collaborazione con Scuola Oltre avremo modo attraverso questa serie di incontri con la nostra docente Jenna e poi anche un'altra nostra formatrice Holly di condividere con voi nuove metodologie o magari metodologie diverse per insegnare la lingua inglese in maniera un po' diversa come facciamo noi qui. Il corso, come già accennato da Francesca, sarà in inglese, quindi sarà anche un'ottima occasione di full immersion per tutti voi per acquisire nuove tecniche. Io ora lascerò la parola a Jenna che inizierà la lezione e sono a disposizione in caso abbiate delle domande come accennato da Francesca. Se volete tentare di farle in inglese sarà anche un ottimo esercizio di pratica. Quindi buon primo incontro. Jenna, now the students are all yours.
Yay! Good afternoon, everyone. I know it's already been said, but my name's Jenna, and today I'm going to show you guys some resources and give you some tips that I use in my classroom and also in the public schools when we do the Madrelingua classes. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Perfect. Okay, so the first webinar today, I'm going to focus on colors, numbers, shapes, and others, as well as give you some general information that you should always use in your lessons. In the future, we will see other topics that you will do in the classroom, and I'll give you many more resources for those topics. But today we are focusing on this topic. So first, I want to give you guys some general rules in the classroom for teaching English and for getting students engaged in English. So the first thing I always do is start with a warm-up song or chant. This could be something you easily find on the internet or something that you create with the students. There's lots of videos. I will show you where you can find the videos. When you do this at the beginning of your lesson, it lets the students know that, oh, it's time for English. So they have that transition from maths or science into English. Okay. The second thing that I always do is I always have a backup plan. This is very important. when you are teaching a topic in English, you need a backup plan in case what you planned doesn't work. This has happened to me where an activity I do in one class works really well, but in a different class, they don't understand it or they're not having fun. So you need to have something else just in case. I actually always have 3 plans. I have plan A, plan B, and plan C. Very important. The third thing that's really important is if you're doing an activity, whether it's a group activity or a class activity, if the students are having fun and they're really enjoying the game or the activity you've prepared, let them continue having fun. Sometimes students are doing really well with an activity, and as a teacher, you might have something else planned that you want to do with them. But if they're enjoying themselves, let them continue having fun. Just continue the activity. And the third thing you had planned, do it a different lesson or give it for homework. It's always important that when the students are really enjoying themselves, you let them enjoy themselves. And my fourth rule is always give praise. A lot of students get really discouraged when they are learning English because they don't enjoy it or they don't understand. Okay. So if the students don't understand or they get an answer wrong, still tell them, you know what, good, this is a very good try, you're doing well, let's find the correct answer together. It's very important that you never say to a student, no, that's wrong. Okay? You help them. It will encourage them to keep learning English and to have a very happy attitude about English. Okay. Now, before I continue, I'm going to stop here for a moment to see if there's any questions before we look at the topic. You have questions? Oops.
No question, Jenna. You can go on.
Thanks, Romina. All right. So, the welcome songs, okay? I'm not going to play the videos because if I have time later in the webinar, I'll play the videos. But I have 3 links for welcome songs that you can use in class. Okay? All of these are available on YouTube. Okay? The first 2 links are ones that I use in my lessons with the young students, so about 5, 6, 7 years old. The third one is for the older students. Okay. With these songs, the really good thing about these songs is they have their chants so students can repeat them. There's actions so students can dance to them. And these are the types of songs that you would use at the beginning of the lesson, okay? You can play the video with them, you can just download the audio, or you can just sing it with them. And there's many other hello songs, okay? They're very easy to find. You go on YouTube and you search hello songs for kids, right? These work all the time. Even if you're teaching online, which I have been doing a lot lately, I always play the hello song at the beginning of the lesson to get students into English time. Okay. So, all right, before we do that, I just want to see everybody, okay? So I just want to ask any questions so far before we look at some materials? Okay. Okay. All right. Unfortunately, just so you guys know, because of my type of computer, when I share my screen, I can't turn on my video. I can only do one or the other. So that's why Ramina's here to help me.
This, Jenna, perfect. They have no questions at the moment. If they are, I'm going to tell them to you or translate. Thank you. You can go on now.
Perfect. All right, guys. Okay, so materials. So these are, I'm going to focus on materials for numbers, shapes, and colors. Okay. And these websites also contain other materials which we will use later in later webinars, and I'll show you how to find them and how to access them. Because these websites are all in English, sometimes it can become a little bit confusing what to click on, where to find the material. But so these are some really good websites for the topic of colors, numbers, and shapes. Okay. The first two websites are very good for flashcards. Okay. Flashcards are super important for teaching students in primary school. You can easily make your own flashcards by just downloading images from Google, or you can get flashcards from these two websites. The first website has many different categories, and it has for all ages. Whereas the second one focuses more on the younger children. So probably your first, second, maybe third year of primary. So that's where, like I said, two wonderful websites for flashcards. Okay. The second one is a very good website for color by number. Okay. With your younger students, a good way to do colors and numbers is the color by number. I use it in my classes all the time. Even if I'm not doing a lesson on colors or numbers, if there's some time at the end of the lesson, I'll give them a color page so that they're always practicing numbers and colors. This website here, the fourth website, is one where you'll find lots of activities and games. Okay. They will give you a game or an activity and explain to you how to do it. Most of them are very easy. You don't need any materials, or the materials you create yourself. A lot of them often involve flashcards, which you would already have, or just objects in the classroom. And then another good website is Twinkle. Okay, this is an actual Italian one. There's some free resources on there. Okay, some things are not free, but there are activities or worksheets which are free, and it's good for the older kids. So you're probably your third and fourth year of primary. Okay. So we're going to start with games. Okay, I have a big list of games. Okay, these are not the only games you can use in the class for, I'm actually going to stop sharing for a moment. Okay, so when it comes to games in the classroom, okay, games are a very important part of teaching English. Okay, you can practice reading, listening, speaking with students, but in order to make English fun for them, you need to incorporate games. Okay, and games doesn't just mean, oh, let's play a random game that has nothing to do with English. There's lots of games that incorporate grammar or vocabulary. That's why we do them. And games make the classroom fun, okay, for students. Classroom fun, okay, for students. Whenever you want to do the game, you can do a game at the beginning of the lesson, in the middle, or at the end. I typically do the games near the end of the lesson. You start with a song, you introduce them to the vocab or the grammar, whatever the lesson is today. You do some practice work with it, whether it's a worksheet, a table activity, a group activity, and then you play a game with what they've learned. Children love games, and the older they get, the more competitive. So when they're younger, you do games that involve cooperation with each other. But as you get older, you do games that require competition. Okay? Children absolutely love competition, and they have a lot of fun. And the good thing about doing games is they really enjoy themselves. You can see a lot of children who might be very shy in class. They don't like raising their hand to answer questions, but when you do games with each other or group activities, then they start participating more. Okay. So I'm going to go through some games with you guys for the topic of shapes, colors, and numbers. Okay. There's more games than the list I'm going to share with you, but this specific list are games that always work or that I use in the classroom. So the first game is very typical, I Spy, okay? This is usually played as a class, and you take turns with the students, okay? I Spy you can do mostly with colors, okay? I spy something blue. And then students can say the name of the thing that they think is blue, or if they're a bit younger, they can walk around and touch the things that are blue and show you. Or some of them might say the name in Italian because they don't know the name in English because you haven't studied it. That's fine. For this activity, it's not about if they know all the objects in English in the classroom. It's about practicing the color, okay? And it's a fun game for them. As they get older, you can make it more fun, like I spy something that has 3 circles on it or something like that. And you go around the classroom, okay, one at a time, let students have a chance. It's a classic one, it always works, okay? You can also use it as a warm-up game as well at the beginning of your class after you do your hello song. You can do it as a revision. If you study colors, maybe the next lesson at the beginning, you play I Spy to review the colors to see if they remember. The next one is called fruit salad. Okay. So fruit salad is students sit in a circle. Okay. They can sit in a circle on the floor or in their chairs as long as it's a circle. And you assign different colors to students. Okay. So maybe you choose 4 colors: red, green, yellow, blue. And you assign a student a color. Then the teacher, you call out 2 colors, say blue and green, and those students have to switch seats, right? And they have to go as fast as they can. This one is a great game. Students laugh at each other. They try to run out of the way from each other. Sometimes they forget what color they are. It's a great game. It can be at the beginning of the class or at the end of the class. For me, it's better at the end of the class because it's a lot of energy, and sometimes if you do this game at the beginning of the class, there'll be very energetic and have a hard time calming down for the rest of the class. So great game, okay, for your colors. Then we have ball ring or ball toss, okay. So this one is for the younger ones, okay. You can have a bucket and balls or some plastic rings with a pole. It's a great one for using your flashcards. You show a student a flashcard, they have to tell you what it is. For example, you show them a number, they tell you the number. You show them a shape, they tell you the shape. If they get the word correct, then they get to toss the ball in the bucket or the hoop on the ring. And you get to set the amount of points as the teacher, like whether it's 2 points, 5 points, 10 points. Okay. Usually, let's stop this for a moment. Usually when I do this game, okay, they have the different rounds. So round 1, students take their turns, and then the next round I'll say, okay, so now it's 5 points. As the older ones, you can also do the distance, right? They're having to throw from further and further and further. When it comes to using the flashcard, you can, for the older students, you can incorporate grammar into it. For example, if you're doing sports, okay, you can show them the sport, but if they're learning something like can, they have to say, use can in the affirmative, and they have to say, I can play tennis, or he can play basketball, okay? So no matter what the game, you can always incorporate grammar into it very easily. The good thing about it is, because it's a game, the students don't realize that they're actually practicing grammar. And so it's a good way to trick students into using English grammar. Okay. All right. So let's look at our next game. Okay. Then we have traffic lights, okay? This is a really fun end of the lesson game. You do this game at the end of the lesson. It's for the young ones, okay? It's not for the older students. So we know that our traffic light colors are red, green, and yellow. Typically, red means stop, yellow means slow down, green means go. Okay? So what you can do is you can assign an action to a color. So you tell students that when they hear you say red, they have to stop. Maybe green, they have to walk. And yellow, they have to walk slowly. Okay? So this involves students moving around the classroom. Okay, so you call the color, they move, you call another color. As students are learning colors, you can add more colors to this, right? For example, you can add the color purple. And when they hear purple, it means they have to dance, okay? The young students, they love this game so much. They laugh. I always give about, if it's the end of the lesson, about 10 minutes at the end, because 5 minutes is not long enough. They get really sad when you stop playing it because they want to keep playing it. So again, great lesson for the end. Now, I'm going to get into a competitive game. This game is quite common, okay? Board race, okay? This is used as vocabulary review, okay? You put the flashcards on the board or the wall, okay? Depending on if you have a whiteboard, a blackboard, or you have open space on a wall. Depending on the size of your class, you split the students into 2 or 3 teams, okay? The students have to stand in a line, okay? So they take turns. And then as the teacher, you call it a flashcard, depending on if it's numbers. So you have number 4, okay? You yell 4, and then students have to run to 3 students run to the front and they have to touch that card. And first student to touch the card gets the point. Okay. You can change it up. Obviously, you can be really tricky and throw some maths into it. You can say 2 + 2, and then they have to run and touch 4. Okay. I like to do that sometimes. Surprisingly, even though it's maths, you're using English, students don't mind because it's a game. They really like it. Okay. So, and then I have a second page of games. We're getting into a bit of the older students now. Memory match, okay? Memory match is a great one to do as well. For this one, you need flashcards and words, okay? Students can play in pairs, in groups, or you can play as a class in teams. And for this, they just have to match the words to the picture. So they have their flashcards face down, they turn 2 over, they don't match. If it's the color red, but it says green, then they have to turn them back over, and it's the next student's turn. It's more of a table activity because it's a bit calmer, okay? Then we have the scavenger hunt. This is a really fun game for students. As a teacher, you need a little bit of preparation because you need to prepare the list of things to find, okay? And you need to decide if the students will play in pairs or in teams. Okay? Depending on your class size, it's up to you. You could tell them, find something that is yellow, find something that is square shape, find something that has 4 different colors. Right? And then the reason why you need preparation is because as the teacher, you need to make sure that all of the objects are in the class. Okay? And at the end, you have the students show you what they found. Okay? So if there's something like find something that has 4 colors, they show you and they tell you the 4 colors on it. Okay. All right. The next one, shapes in real life. This is probably one of my favorite activities when it comes to shapes. For this one, you want to give students a photo. Okay. Put them in pairs or small groups of 3 or 4. Okay. The photo can be a picture of a park, restaurant, maybe the countryside, okay? As long as there's a lot of different things in the photo. Okay. You ask them what shapes they can see, right? So if it's at a restaurant, maybe they see a table and they go, well, the table is rectangular, okay? Different, or if it's in a living room and they see the clock on the wall, the clock is a circle, okay? You have them find as many shapes they can in a real life photo. Then after that, you take the photos back and then you give students some time to think about what other shapes are in real life, okay? For this, if they don't know the object in English because they've never learned that word, that's okay. What you're encouraging them to do is use their shapes, to think of things that are different shapes, okay? And then they can present the ideas to you, to the class. You guys can share them. It's a great way to get students thinking. Okay. All right. Then say it, okay? This is a really great competition game, okay? Split the students into groups, okay? As a teacher, it's your choice if you want the students to be in groups, like just 2 groups in the class, or 3 groups, or 4 groups. It's up to you. As a teacher, you need to prepare some questions. For example, what color is a banana? How many points does a triangle have? Okay, things like that. And then you have the 2 students competing or 3 students competing. You ask them the question, and they have to say it, whether it's the color, the number, or the shape. Okay, you can even do visual representations too, like what shape is this? And it's 1 point per team. As the students get older, you can give them a time limit where they have to say it in 5 seconds or 3 seconds. That's fun because it's really funny seeing the panic on their face. So again, a great game. Probably use it after the students have become comfortable with their shapes and their colors. Okay? Definitely not a game for the younger ones. They won't understand the questions, but it's easily manageable at the 5th year for primary. All right, and we have one more game, okay? The last game is a game that never fails, bingo. I use bingo every lesson at the end, okay? You can give students the cards, like template cards yourself, especially if they're younger, or you can get them draw in their books or make their own bingo cards. You write a list of words on the board of what you will be choosing, and then the students can choose from them. So say you have a list of 20 different numbers, numbers 1 to 20, and students have to choose 5 numbers between 1 and 20. Okay? And then you play bingo with them. I do it so that they have to have all the numbers gone. So not just 3 numbers. So if it's 5 numbers, they have to have all 5 numbers crossed off. Okay? It's a very good game. Bingo always works. You can do it with numbers, colors, shapes. Okay? Like I said, it never fails. For my students, they know that if they do all the work in the lesson, we complete everything, we play bingo at the end. So it really encourages them to pay attention in the lesson. So that's just some games, okay? We will see a lot more games to use in other classes later on, okay? For the other topics, there's many different games, also games that can be adapted or changed to suit other topics, okay? Okay, I'm gonna stop here for a moment just to ask if there's any questions about these games or, right?
Hey Jenna, at the moment there are no questions. So far, all adults, we are loving the game so much. I think that we wish we could be students again to play with you.
And even for something like bingo, if you're teaching online, you can do it online, right? All of my classes are online right now, and I still play bingo with the students. Okay, so, and I still do a scavenger hunt sometimes. If we've done shapes, I know students are at home in their bedroom. I'll say, okay, find something in your bedroom that's a square. And they look frantically around their bedroom to show me. So a lot of these can be adapted online. And in the future webinars, I will have specific games or activities that you can do online as well. So let's continue. This is just a little diagram to show you how the games work. So with the younger students, you would have the traffic lights and the ball toss, ring toss. With the older students, those games, and then ones that can be used for both because they can be made easier or more difficult. Okay? So a lot of times there's overlapping. So now, arts, crafts, and printable activities, okay? I'm going to show you some of these websites, not all, because some of them have too much on them. But when it comes to your younger students, sometimes the older students, arts and crafts are a wonderful way to get students encouraged in learning English. whether it's drawing or painting or making something, they love it, especially when they have to make something but then present it to the class. Okay? So I'll show you, one of them is create a picture using shapes, for example, a robot. And I'll show you guys an example picture here. Something like this. If they're younger students, you as the teacher can pre-cut the shapes. If they're older students, let them think of the shapes themselves. They have to cut it, and then they label the robot, okay? And if they're older, you can tell them, okay, like my robot has got 3 circles, 2 squares, right? 4 rectangles. So using numbers and shapes plus some grammar. The grammar have got, which they learn in the older levels of primary. It's a fun craft for them to do. Okay. We also have the color wheel. So the color wheel, if you're going to do this as a teacher, you have to not be afraid of making a mess. A color wheel is really great way to practice colors, okay? And you need paints, okay? So obviously if you can get paints from the school, the art department, it's a really good idea. So this website shows you how to do it. They give an example. There's a lot of just information. The information you want is at the bottom, okay? So it tells you the things you need, okay? You don't have to do acrylic paint. It does say acrylic paint, but honestly, washable paint is the best one because students will get paint on themselves, okay? And you can download the wheel, so you can actually download the template, okay? So, and it gives you instructions on how to do it with the students. You use just the 3 primary colors, and then what makes this activity fun for students is they learn mixing colors together to make another color. Okay? So they know that when they have their blue and their yellow, but they mix blue and yellow together, it's green. So you can practice colors by mixing other colors together. And maybe have students discover, like, oh, what happens if you mix green and purple together, and see if they can figure out the color. It's a great way. But it is quite messy, but I've done this in class. It's a lot of fun, and it's something they get to take home, okay? And then they can label their colors after as well. So you have the final product of it. Okay. So that's in our color wheel. Another great one for the young ones, which I've used, rainbow crafts, okay? A great way to learn and to practice colors is the colors of the rainbow, right? There's lots of different types of rainbow crafts you can do. This one's really cute with the hand print and then having the colors come out of the fingers, okay? It tells you all there how to do it. Most of these activities, the materials, they're not a lot where you have the materials, it's just paper. You can easily have kids color where they involve paints. Very easy rainbow crafts to do for the kids, right? So, lovely. Okay. Then, number ordering train. This is one I've used for numbers. It's a little craft where you can have children, you have the train, okay? And they have to, you give them whatever numbers they're, and they have to put the numbers in order on the train. So you can do a little table activity, they mix up the numbers, and then they have to put them in order. And depending on the level, you can tell the children if they're gonna be okay. Count by 5, count by 10, by 2s, right? You have them say the numbers out loud to you. If you use this website, you have to scroll down to where it says download here. Okay. There are other number games on this one, which is really great. right? Counting games for kids. So there's other counting games and printable things that you can use on this. And whenever you click on something, so we go pizza counting game, just to kind of show you guys, it tells you there's the pizza counting game, okay? It gives you the instructions on how to use it, how to make it, okay? Very good for Italy because it's pizza. And then again, you scroll to the bottom to where it tells you to download, okay? Some of them might not be downloadable because you don't need a template, you just need the materials. And then one really good website for young kids is this one. Right here, right off the bat, you can see they have numbers. So these there'll be some flashcards with numbers and colors, but there'll be a lot of different crafts and activities for you to do. This one is mostly crafts, okay? Maybe some games like a word search. It's really good for your first and second year of primary to do. There's only some free resources. It's where it says free resources. You just see printables or crafts to help you guys. Even got some alphabet things there. Okay. So far, that's the crafts, okay? Like I said, those are just for our numbers, our colors, and our shapes, okay? There's lots of other crafts and different types of activities that they can do for other topics, which we'll see later, and I'll show you how to do those ones. The last thing I want to show you guys is some online games to do in class. Because a lot of our lessons are on Zoom now, or Google Meet, whatever you're using, it can be very difficult to get kids encouraged in learning English online. So there's 2 websites that actually have games that are very good, and I'll show you those 2. Okay, so our 2 websites, so British Council, very good for games, and our ESL Games Plus, okay? So with this, it can be a little bit difficult in the sense that your students might not have the opportunity to access the website unless you give them that ability. So you might have to ask them questions, then you click on the things. So right here, this is all the games, okay? So we can see if you're doing your ABCs, okay, you'd click on it together, and there's the game you can play, and it tells you how to play the game. Some games might actually have a worksheet with it, okay, where you play the game together, and maybe you have the worksheet to give the students for homework, okay? You can even assign the games for homework to students, where you give them the link, and then they can play at home. Okay? British Council is great for lots of games. There's only some, they change the games, okay? There's even story makers, so if you're doing something with shapes, you can make a story together. Other things up here that we will see later on how to use these with other games and stuff. And then our ESL Games Plus. Okay. Another website full of games for students to play. Said it depends on what you plan on doing in the class. Spelling games, there was preschool and kindergarten, so you can have stuff on there when they're doing their numbers and letters, okay? Lots of different ones. This is very good for, they got lots of games involving the alphabet, numbers, colors, and shapes on here. Very good. Okay. So those are online games, okay? So there are other websites full of games that are really good, but they're going to be used for other things when we do our other topics. I'll show you some other websites and links that have wonderful games depending on the topic you're teaching. Okay. Any questions?
Hi Jenna, still with me? So far, no questions. I think I will tell in Italian if they want to ask some questions in the chat that I can tell to you since we are almost at the end. So give me
Yeah, we are at the end, so that's why the online games was my last thing there for.
Great.
So yeah, any questions?
Thank you, Jenna, for all the games, all the proposals that you have presented today. It's a lot. Thank you. I tried to game I Spy. I
Yeah.
spy something red in my home. This is my face because I'm in difficult to listen and understand. But I think it's difficult because I don't see you. And I think how much it's difficult for the child to understand the teachers while she speaks with a mask.
Yeah. If I may say, Francesca, maybe in Italian, so it's more clear. Noi qui a scuola ci siamo posti il problema, soprattutto in questo periodo, come fare lezione perché i bambini, se non vedono il labiale, è molto difficile. Di conseguenza ci siamo dotati per le lezioni in presenza, quando è possibile farle, di mascherine trasparenti, che sono, le sta facendo vedere ora Jenna, sono molto scomode perché sono una barriera fisica, quindi estremamente sicure. Perché veramente non passa nulla e allo stesso tempo la docente, il docente può far vedere il labiale, che è importante perché questo è un aspetto da affrontare in classe in questo periodo dove oggettivamente finché è online ci vediamo, si vede, parlo piano, ci vediamo, però i bambini con questo abbiamo risolto, quindi per i docenti che ci seguono potrebbe essere una soluzione, non è molto comoda, però veramente i bambini capiscono, non dicono che, come, cosa, è perfetto, una buona soluzione.
Grazie Romina, perché proprio notavo questa difficoltà, già ero là con l'orecchio tirato, però non riuscire a vedere il labiale è impegnativo. Comunque davvero belle proposte, bei giochi, sono sicura che si divertirebbero tantissimo e ho visto anche in chat che insomma gli insegnanti, i docenti sono stati molto contenti. Speriamo di poter davvero andare a scuola il prima possibile e poterli proporre, perché sono giochi semplici da poter attuare subito e soprattutto imparano l'inglese divertendosi, che è la cosa migliore per i bambini. Se c'è qualche docente, qualche domanda che volete fare a Jenna, non vi preoccupate, fatela pure in chat. Se volete o se volete anche intervenire, alzate la mano e vi do la parola. Nel frattempo che attendiamo qualche domanda, riassumo un attimo quello che sarà la proposta del corso. Quindi avete capito la modalità di argomenti trattati con Jenna e ci saranno anche, se non sbaglio, anche altri formatori che interverranno. È proprio un team di formatori madrelingua che vi seguirà in questa avventura. Il corso si articola di 5 incontri, li vedete riportati in chat e ho messo su Facebook il link per la pagina dedicata. Ve li ripeto: giovedì 8 aprile School Objects and School Phrases, giovedì 15 aprile Animals, giovedì 22 aprile Food and Meals, giovedì 29 aprile Family Members and House. Potete acquistare il corso sia sul nostro sito tramite un ordine con bonifico o PayPal, sia utilizzando la carta del docente, quindi facendo un buono. Il corso costa 79 euro se pagate con carta del docente oppure se siete nostri soci. oppure 96,38 € se non siete nostri soci. Vi ricordo che è un corso riconosciuto, il corso completo, tutto quello intero, riconosciuto dal MIUR, quindi avrete un attestato riconosciuto dal MIUR alla conclusione del corso, e quindi potrete trovare anche il corso su Sofia, cercandolo o con il titolo o con l'ID che trovate sul vostro sito, e iscrivervi su Sofia sia che paghiate con carta del docente che facciate un ordine sul nostro sito. Su info@scuolaoltre.it sono sempre a disposizione se avete bisogno di qualche informazione inerente al corso, insomma qualsiasi informazione inerente. Ad esempio, ciascun incontro dura 2 ore. Sì, questo di oggi durava solo 1 ora perché era la presentazione del corso e vi dà qualche input per capire come si svolgerà. I prossimi incontri saranno tutti dalle 5 alle 19, quindi avrete modo di approfondire veramente in maniera esaustiva con Jenna e gli altri formatori tutti gli argomenti trattati. Io vi ricordo che l'incontro di oggi lo troverete sia sulla pagina Facebook dove stiamo trasmettendo di Scuola Oltre, ma lo troverete caricato sul nostro sito, alla pagina materiale webinar gratuiti, circa entro una settimana da oggi. La troverete registrazione, le preziosissime slide di Jenna con tutti i link, veramente tanti, e tutti i giochi che avrete visto oggi, e anche l'attestato di partecipazione, quindi non vi arriva in automatico, mi raccomando, lo dovrete andare a scaricare voi sul nostro sito. Abbiamo ancora qualche minuto se volete fare qualche domanda. Oggi dobbiamo essere un po' fiscali sull'orario, quindi se volete fare le ultime domande a Jenna o Romina potete utilizzare la chat oppure alzare la mano. Se c'è qualcuno che è più bravo di me a parlare inglese, che ho visto nessuno. Le lezioni che si perdono possono essere recuperate con le registrazioni? Sì. Caterina, sì. Come Scuola Oltre ci teniamo che tutti possano seguire il corso. Quindi come funziona? Nel momento in cui vi iscrivete a qualsiasi nostro corso, quindi anche quello di oggi, Brilliant Ideas for Primary English Teachers, riceverete un link per una pagina dedicata al corso. La troverete tutte le registrazioni e tutti i materiali dei vostri incontri, che rimarranno, attenzione, attenzione, per voi per sempre. Quindi li potrete rivedere e risentire quante volte vorrete. Che voi seguiate il corso in diretta, tramite registrazione, o un po' perché magari avete degli impegni, avrete comunque il vostro attestato e porterete insomma a compimento tutto il corso. Quindi è un'occasione da non perdere, una peculiarità che Scuola Oltre come associazione ci tiene. Quindi grazie davvero, mi pare che non ci siano domande. Se volete, non so se volete concludere, aggiungere qualcosa a quello che ho detto.
Io vorrei dire nel salutare tutti quelli che hanno partecipato oggi che grazie alla collaborazione con voi abbiamo la possibilità di condividere quelli che sono i metodi che noi usiamo in classe, sia nei corsi privati, quindi con i bambini che vengono da noi, ma anche quelli che abbiamo messo in pratica nei nostri progetti presso le scuole pubbliche, quindi con classi molto numerose e in questo periodo anche con classi molto numerose online, e quindi è bello poterlo condividere affinché effettivamente riusciamo a dare ai bambini la possibilità di divertirsi un po' di più, però imparando sempre, ecco, questo è importante, soltanto questo.
No, hai fatto una bella specifica perché noi incrociamo le dita, anche quelle dei piedi, e non vediamo l'ora di tornare in classe, però magari qualche insegnante ha delle necessità anche per svolgere attività online, quindi avrete del materiale a disposizione per poter svolgere anche online le vostre attività. Non c'è nessun esame finale, l'importante è portare, diciamo, a compimento il percorso in un modo o nell'altro, in diretta tramite registrazione. Quindi davvero grazie a Romina, thank you Jenna for today. Io direi che saluto anche chi ci segue da Facebook e vi invito sia a mettere mi piace sulla pagina di Scuola Oltre. Avete anche voi una pagina Facebook?
Sì, sì, assolutamente. British School Matera, ci trovate facilmente su tutti i vari social, siamo molto operativi, quindi potete seguirci anche a noi.
Perfetto, grazie mille. Allora, quindi grazie a Romina, grazie a Jenna. Mettete mi piace sulle nostre pagine Facebook, mettete mi piace, andate a vedere il nostro canale YouTube e quindi vi aspettiamo numerosi a questo nuovo, interessantissimo e innovativo soprattutto corso di Scuola Oltre. Grazie e alla prossima formazione.
Thank you.
Bye, bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Aspetta, 50. Grazie a tutti.